Welcome to another episode of the Lightspeed Investing Podcast. I'm so glad to have Dr. Charles and Samantha Bingham here with us today to share their journey in incorporating trading and investing in the futures and commodity financial markets so they can have another stream of income in their lives. How are you guys doing today?
Good.
Doing great.
Awesome. So if you guys want to share a brief intro to the audience, obviously you guys are medical practitioners and you still have clinical responsibilities, but Dr. Charles, you also have some endeavors within business, right? So if you guys want to give some context to the audience so they can know you a little bit better, let's start off with that.
So this journey started about 3 months ago. No,
Yeah.
4 months ago.
4 months.
We were at a high-level business conference, met one of your fellow colleagues, and they introduced us to trading. And we were talking about it at one of the social gatherings, and we had looked at trading previously, and we were doing just regular stocks and not doing great with it. So we kind of gave that up, and we realized we needed more education on it. But at this business camp, we were looking at starting a business ourselves and doing, since we're both family physicians, doing a medical practice. And this seemed like something that could actually help facilitate that.
Yeah, so I've been interested in trading, ironic, since I was in high school. One of my high school math teacher did day trading. But that was in a different state. I haven't talked to him in years, but that was when I first started getting interested in stocks and day trading and things like that. So that's something that I had always found interesting, which is how we got into trying to do stocks in the first place. And then, what's the name of that board game that we play?
Cash flow.
Yeah, and the cash flow board game. Stocks are one of the ways that you can rapidly make money. And so that was kind of, as we were moving towards trying to have a couple of different income streams and getting some more passive income, that's really when we got into the traditional stocks. But they don't move that fast most of the time. And it's not really a quick way to make money. It's a long-term if you're right. And so like you said, it really wasn't working out. So we kind of gave that up. So when your associate was talking with Charlie and he was sort of explaining how these things work, Charlie was like, "Oh, this is what Sam wanted to do."
Yeah.
But we weren't doing so hot. So let me see if this is something that we could get into and get her some education and kind of let me do something that I found fun.
Gotcha. So in particular, what was it about stocks? Do you mind elaborating that didn't work for you? Was it because you had to do so much research on the companies, right? Since it's mostly fundamental analysis, right? You have to know global economic trends and
exactly. So
just didn't have time to do the due diligence, maybe.
Yeah, that was a big part of it. By the time, and I didn't know where to look to get that information. So by the time Tesla would be doing something cool, or like, and this was kind of during the time of COVID. And so I was looking into like biopharmaceuticals because that's something that I understand, right? So looking into biomed products and like what's coming down the pike, what's the FDA looking at, and trying to predict who was going to do well before everybody else could see that it was doing good. That didn't work out so hard.
Gotcha. So, for you, even though you may be busy with clinical responsibilities, right? How are you able to balance that with trading futures and commodities?
So it's a good question. So I work part-time in my clinic. So I work Monday through Thursday, and then Friday morning is my dedicated trading time. So I actually only get 1 day a week. But in that 1 day a week, I can still do pretty good. And by that time, I can look back at what's it been doing over the daily for the last week, those sorts of look at those data points and sort of have an idea what I think it's going to do with that specific, not one particular company, but what the market is doing by the time I get to Friday. And so that's helpful. It gives me a few more data points to look at.
Gotcha. And how long is are you spending in front of the computer? You talk about the Friday mornings.
So on Friday mornings, I start somewhere around 9 o'clock, and then I'm usually done by 11:30, like 11:30, somewhere in there. So really just the morning
Nice.
is I spend.
Yeah, so you're investing maybe 2.5 hours, and how many trades are you placing within those 2.5 hours?
It kind of depends on the day. When I first started, I was like probably 5 or 6, but I think today I was 15, 20.
Nice.
So more as I've gotten more experience and gotten more confident about what I'm doing.
And what are the accuracy rates you're able to hit now when you go live?
I'm right around 80% most of the time. And the ones that my issue right now is I haven't really perfected my entry, right? So I can look at it and pretty well get the sense of it's going to go up or it's going to go down, but I don't always get my entry 100% right. And so I would say that on the whole, all of my trades today were correct. Like I made money on all of my 100% of my trades today. I just had to be a little bit patient on some of them because my entry wasn't, but I've only been doing it for 3 months, 1 day a week for 3 months.
Right, which is quite impressive, to be honest, in terms of the progress that you've made, right? Even though you can't devote everything. So what would you say is, your key to success that's actually allowed you to, continue to see results and head in the right direction, despite maybe only trading once a week? What are you actually doing?
So what's been really helpful for me is because I'm in clinic when you guys are doing the live trade or the live videos. What's been really helpful for me is to get the recordings, and I can watch the recordings at home. And then also the personal training that I'm getting with your high level, your elite trader. We meet 1 to 2 times a week, kind of depending on the week, and go over, what's it doing? What didn't I see? What did it do that I wasn't on, and so I couldn't see, but should know for future reference. And that's been really, really helpful, both for my accuracy and for my confidence, and sort of because I know that I can ask that question. That one-to-one training, that the attending resident one-to-one training was super helpful for me.
Gotcha.
In my progression, both in accuracy and
It's
confidence.
that little intimate dissection, right, of what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong.
Yeah, to be able to go back and look at my specific and the trust that I have, so I can tell them okay, so I didn't get it right, where I didn't get it where I wanted it to be, right? What could I have done different? But being confident that I'm going to be met with professionalism and not made fun of, or that's a big thing.
Judgment and repercussions.
Yes,
and a bad grade on your medical
exactly. Nobody's failing me. They want to help and they want me to get better.
So, coming from medicine, right, there's this sense of perfectionism because we are inherently dealing with someone's physiological livelihoods. Over here, we're dealing with their financial livelihoods, which is still important. But, for your perspective, right, if you're talking to a fellow medical colleague who may be brand new to this, and they may be not as embracing of risk, right? Again, the futures and commodity financial markets is inherently lucrative because of the risk of volatility. We just have a system that allows us to properly, leverage them so that they're not only against us, but they're more so our friends, our allies, and a resource for us to extract profits like our own ATM machines, right, from these markets. So, what is it that, despite the risk and volatility involved, that made you go, okay, I don't mind, and let me dive into this to learn a skill set for the rest of my life?
Do you want to? Okay. So for me, with your program, there's data points, right? I'm looking at this and I'm looking at the stochastics. I'm looking at the volume. I'm looking at the candlesticks. There's an algorithm that you guys teach that allows me, the market is like patience, right? It doesn't read the book. It doesn't always do what you expect it to do. But when I have those data points and I have the education to know if this and this and this and this, then likely that, that was what really helped me. And because in medicine, we're trained to look for those things. We're trained to look for, these particular set of symptoms. This is what you're looking for. And it's the same sort of thought process. If I'm seeing all of these same things, this is the outcome that I'm expecting.
Yep. So we're always taught to focus on inputs, right? First and foremost, because the inputs is what ultimately dictate outputs. No matter how much money is possible, you have to do it the right way. So for you, what are the inputs that you've really paid attention to allow you to not only learn it, right, and progress, but have that confidence to take that leap into live trading and actually put real money on it?
So I think, so you're asking like what particular things I'm looking at, like the candlesticks and the stochastics?
Well, and also what, when you were just getting into the groove of things, what were you doing, where once those things were established, you're like, okay, I'm going to take this leap of faith and not trade simulated anymore and practice my skill set there and actually put real money.
Okay. So the thing you guys counseled me to keep track of in my simulated trading, keep track of my accuracy. And you teach the risk 1 to make 5, and you want to be 80% or better the vast majority of the time. And so that's what I was doing, is I was tracking that information while I was doing my simulated trading. And for me, it was when I got to about 3 days of trading that I hit all of those parameters with a little bit of encouragement.
Is that 3 days, like 3 Fridays?
3 Fridays.
Wow, yeah.
That I hit all of those parameters. Now I didn't hit all of those the first 3 Fridays.
Yeah.
But the 3 that I hit all of those, that was when I decided to go live and start trying to play with real money.
Right. And when you were playing real money, did you start with the micro market or did you jump into the actual regular markets?
Into the YM.
Just the YM. Oh, wow. Okay. So how many contracts did you say you're trading,
So when I started, I was doing 1 at a time. And I know that there's other people that you guys coach that get really good in the simulated market so that they trade multiple markets in sim before they go live. I don't really have a justification for why I didn't do that. I just didn't. So I got where I was comfortable with 1 contract. And so I did that for a couple of months.
Yeah.
And then as I've gotten more confident and been more successful and consistent with real money, I'm now trading 3 to 5 at a time.
Awesome. And so what would you say is your average investment on a Friday time-wise? And what would you say is your average profits at this point at 80% accuracy?
So I'd say about 2 to 2.5 hours time investment. And then, I don't know, somewhere around
about 2,000.
Yeah, about 2,000.
2,000 live money.
I haven't done the calculation in a couple of days, and I didn't do it today. So, but it's about that. Like there have been a couple of days where it wasn't. I got 500 or something like that because and then but then there's been a couple of days when I've made over 2,000. So it's somewhere around there.
Sure. And all you're doing, right, is looking at the screen and clicking a couple buttons.
Exactly. Exactly.
So how does this style of creating an income stream, right, differ from all the other ones that you've been a part of or seen, whether it be in medical or in business?
So for me in medicine, because that's my whole life. I went straight high school, college, medicine, like that was it. That's all I've done. So for me in medicine, it was the amount of time required, especially because, like I said, the thought process of putting different data points together to predict an outcome is already taught in medicine. So that was already done. But the amount of time required to get my DO was staggeringly different compared to the amount of time commitment required to learn and start to leverage this. Now for the other businesses, I'll let Charlie answer.
Yeah. So we're in real estate and as well, and this is so far blowing it out of the water. we're getting anywhere from 6 to 8% return on our real estate currently with the cash flow.
And is that an annual return, 6 to 8% annual, or monthly? Okay.
Annual currently, and then we'll get a lot more money after the sale is where we're at.
Okay.
So, this is blowing it out of the water, especially like she's saying the amount of time she's had to put in on it. I mean, she's putting in 2.5 hours, 1 day a week, and getting $2,000 or more on average.
Right.
So
what does that translate in terms of ROI percentage wise? I mean, dollar amount we know is about $2 to $3 grand, right? But in terms of like to ballpark your daily ROI, what would you say you're getting in terms of like comparing it to your initial account size?
So like the amount that we put into the account to start trading with?
To start, and now where it's at. Yeah.
Well, I took some of it out.
Oh, right. That's fine. So, and that's why we're short term, right? I'm saying the percentage that you can generate in terms of the return on investment just on that 1 day within the 2 to 2.5 hours.
Oh, easily 25%.
25% in 2 to
yeah, because I started the brokerage account required 5,000 to start, and so that's easily 20, upwards of 25 to 30, and it like with that amount, because I haven't let the brokerage account get too high. I've taken money back out of it.
Sure. Yeah. So Dr. Samantha and Dr. Charles, that sounds way too good to be true, right? Why is it not something maybe a skeptic would say to watch out for and stay away from, because it sounds too good to be true? What would you have to say to those statements?
Oh no, when we first watched the video, the very first time, right? So obviously I changed my opinion, but the very first time I watched the video, I told Charlie this was a scam. Like, there's no way it's this good. Like, it can't be. It can't be that good. But it is. And the reason it is because there is logic behind it, right? It's not gambling. There's an algorithm that makes it predictable.
And so when you looked at it like it was a scam, right, what were the other factors that made you turn around and assess it, calmly to go, okay, maybe there is something, right?
So your elite trader called us and started, so because we watched the evening video, and then he called us after that, and we talked for a little bit, and he sort of explained the thought process that he hadn't said in the video. And so that evening we spent some more time, because it wasn't a watch it and walk away, right? It was watch it, and I don't know who had told him we were on the call. I don't know why he decided to call us, because there were other people on, like, it wasn't just us, there were plenty of other people that were on the call. But that was the thing for me. That was the thing that, okay, there's a real person on the other end of this. Let me take another look. Here are the things that he said. I can wrap my brain around the logic of this. And it was just sitting down and sort of thinking, like, this actually does make sense.
So, and Dr. Charles, for you?
So I'm always looking for new tricks and ways to get ourselves more financially sound. And this, talking to your elite trader, helped tremendously. Watching the video or being on the call that evening helped. And I was able to see that, wait, there's a system here. And my wife is very good with systems once she learns the process. I am too. I currently work 5 days a week, and she's very good with computers and stuff. I'm more of the hands-on guy, but I realized that since there's a system here, she could learn it, and she's always been interested in this avenue. Why not take the chance? And we did. and
it's real.
It is working great.
So it is real. So if you're talking to, someone who's brand new, and they're maybe from a fellow medical colleague, right? And they're just not budging, right? They're very skeptical. They're like, I don't know how this could work. If you had to switch up your language, right, and not talk technical jargons within this field, but use the industry language of medicine, how would you explain this actually makes sense?
So I would say you get the charts stay there, so you can look back at the history. So you can, even though the chart can't talk to me, I can still look at the history. I can take a patient history. I can take vital signs. What's it doing right now? I can take, the physical exam, I guess. It's like how many stocks are trading right now, and like all those different things kind of come together to give a cohesive story, to get a diagnosis of what's it gonna do.
And Dr. Charles, for you, did you have anything, in your mind that would contribute to explaining it in, medical terms?
So when I've listened in on some of the master trainer calls with my wife, I keep going back to being a resident, learning how to look at images. And you set it up to where you do the same thing every time. And depending on what you're seeing, well, this is most likely going to be the diagnosis. So you're either buying or selling, depending on what them key points are. And they teach it to you. The master trader teaches it to you. Make sure you understand it. And it's phenomenal.
So, for those who may still be on the fence, right, and maybe similar to your journey, what would you suggest them to do, right, to get themselves more educated, just to at least have additional knowledge, right, before making any decisions, like what was the journey like for you guys, when you were maybe researching and doing the due diligence? How did that all work out?
You've got listen to the calls. Like if you can't do the live training, then like during the day, then do the nighttime, and then go back and watch the videos. They'll send you the videos, so you can go back and watch those if you can't during the day and you can't be actively part of those particular times. But you just watch them do it, and they'll talk you through it. Even the complimentary access, without any money down or any money towards them, like they will start to teach you and show you beforehand. And just so if you just invest that time, it'll come together and you'll understand why this really is something that you can do. And you guys can reach out to any of them and on social media, and they can talk to you through, what's the next step, how can you get more information, because if you guys get the information, it's hard to argue with.
And Dr. Charles, of course, we've been kind of focused on the medical community, but you obviously are immersed in business as well. From the perspective of a business owner, right? What do you have to say about this style of income and wealth creation versus your typical brick and mortar, right? Whether it be running a restaurant, a private practice, things that you have to deal with, right? In terms of running your overhead, expenses, employees, etc.
This is much less headache.
And how so?
So you don't have to deal with as many people. I mean, obviously, you brick and mortar, you're going to be dealing with people day in and day out, employees, stuff like this. My wife is doing this at home and really not having to deal with anyone other than the computer. And so as far as the real estate, that's a long-term hold. This is quick, able to generate money relatively quick. I mean, very quickly. And real estate's more of a long-term hold, which is good in its own right, but this is just so much faster.
And what was yeah.
Go ahead. I was gonna say, and you can start with stuff that you already have. Like I trade on my laptop. I have one laptop. I'll switch between the screens, but to look at my different data points and see what I want to see. But literally, like, I just have a laptop that I already owned. Like, the startup is very easy, and I don't have to deal with anything else. Eventually, I want to get to where I'm going to have multiple monitors and things that I can watch when I have more time. Ultimately, the goal is for this to allow me to, this and our other stuff, but primarily this, to allow me to not work full time, not even work half of what I'm working now, so that I can do this more time, do this in the mornings when the market's good, and give me more time at home to do other things and invest in other stuff and spend more time with the kids. So when that time comes around and I'm spending more time doing this, we can do that. But to start out, it's just a laptop.
And for you right now, so what is the trajectory and vision, right? You're currently just trading on Fridays because you work Monday through Thursday. What would you like to, in terms of the IPO schedule, revamp? Are you going to look at maybe trading on specifically Tuesday and Thursday mornings? What are you looking to do to incorporate it into your lifestyle?
Ultimately, the goal is for us to have our own practice someday down the road. And when that happens, I'll only work in the afternoons. So I'll trade when I want to in the mornings, and then see patients when I want to in the afternoons.
Love it. And Dr. Charles, for you, what is your kind of goal incorporating this into your lifestyle? Are you going to basically continue being a full-time medical practitioner, or do you think you'll ever get into trading yourself?
So yeah, I plan on getting into trading myself, but in the current situation, I'm not able to trade currently, and so I'll get a hold of your master trader or your elite trader, and also I'll have my wife here to help teach me as well. So long term, yeah, I would like to get into trading, but I plan on opening multiple businesses as well, because I do like the brick and mortar, plus I do like owning real estate. So there you go.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I love it. Well, look, at the end of the day, right, this is a tool for you to leverage, whether, if you want to maximize it to the full, or you just want to use it as a small little supplement. We have been able to retire medical professionals from their careers if they want to, but of course, it depends on your own prerogative. So, super excited to have had this conversation with both of you and get some FaceTime in. Do you have any concluding remarks, comments, or wisdom to share with the audience before we go here?
Get on the calls, watch the videos, talk to them. Just talk to them. It's worth your time. It sounds too good to be true, but it's really not. There's logic behind it. There's reason behind it. Just get a hold of the guys and they'll walk you through it.
My advice, just like she said, click the link and get a hold of them. Just take a chance and see what happens. You're never going to get anything if you don't do something.
That's right. No risk, no goodies, right?
Exactly.
Thank you so much for your time, Dr. Charles and Dr. Samantha, and I look forward to continuing the conversation and seeing how you continue to progress, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks.